Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Chazingdra Chats, the show where we take a stroll through the life stories of people in the Pokemon community, discovering the six Pokemon on their dream team along the way. I'm Charlie Merriman, merry by name, merry by nature, otherwise known as Chazingdra, a host and commentator for the Pokemon Video Game Championship Series and a content creator. And this week, it is my honour to be joined by the wonderful Simon Van der Borght. Simon, how are you?
I'm feeling quite fine. I'm very happy to be here. Excited, really, to be able to talk a bit about me, which I love talking about. No, I'm looking very much forward to this, and always a fan to be able to share, I guess.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to hear some of your stories. Now, if people aren't so familiar with you, Simon, can you give a brief introduction to yourself?
Yeah. So my name is Simon Van der Borght, which is kind of hard to pronounce for most people. So that's why most people know me as Shmon. It is completely fine to call me Shmon at times. Even my best friends do it. I've even caught my parents doing it once, so it is perfectly fine. I am a person who plays mainly VGC, but I've been judging, organizing. I've casted 2 events as well last year, and you might have seen me judge as well. So honestly, if you are going to a Pokemon event, the chances are quite real that you have at least seen me.
Yeah, absolutely. You really juggle all of the various things that Pokemon has to offer. Um, I'm interested now. How the way I pronounce your name at the beginning? How what would you rate that out of 10? Was that fairly accurate?
I feel like that is a solid 8. I'll be
8.
really, yeah, 8. I'll give it an 8 because I've heard way worse. So like, if I'm actively trying to compare it to what people have called me. So honestly, Simon Van der Borght is completely fine because it sounds the same. At least I've had moments where I was like, yeah, I believe I had someone call me Simon Van der Burger, like as if I was a burger. So things like that happen, which is completely fine. I laugh with them as well. That's why if people want to call me Schmon, Schmon is absolutely fine.
Well, Burger makes sense too because you are the king. There you go. There you
Thanks.
go. But you are truly the king of yeah, of getting involved in everything that Pokemon has to offer. With you can also play TCG,
Yeah.
and you're also don't you? Do you have points in TCG and Go as well
Yes,
now? Yeah.
I've played Go a bit as well. I've tried to be interested in it. I tried to play it as well, so I can get other people involved as well. Because really, every game there's a game for everyone out there for Pokemon, really, and it's always interesting to be able to share what information I have. At least, my knowledge about Pokemon Go is limited, but I can give it. I'm more confident in my VGC and TCG, but like Go, I only started this year, but I'm getting there.
Well, to be honest, I'm impressed that you could even know 2 games, let alone 3. So there you go. And I'm sure I will interchangeably call you Shmon or Simon over the course of the episode.
Absolutely fine.
Um, so let's take a bit of a deeper dive into your life, Shmon, and the 6 Pokemon for your dream team. But first of all, I believe we're going way back to your very first years, which you lived in the Congo.
Yeah, that is correct. So both my parents were with Doctors Without Borders, and before me, we have my big sister, who's also like they've traveled with plenty of as well to Cambodia, for example. I lived for a month or so in Cambodia, so not that long, but then went to Congo for 3 years, and then my parents finally decided, you know what, maybe all this traveling to like other countries not really that great for kids. But they only realized that after my little sister was born, of course. For me, it was fine. And it's quite funny as well because we still visited Belgium and later on, I still visited Congo as well. But I feel like being able to have been introduced to that kind of life is very different to like seeing how sometimes in Europe life goes on compared to like how it goes on in Africa, because a lot of the times when you are walking around, for example, in the EU, not that many people look up to you when you smile at them or like say hello, good day. There are instances that can happen, but it is a given most of the time in Africa. Maybe, yeah, it is at least my experience to be that way.
That's yeah, I fully appreciate that. That is, well, certainly not the case in London. I was actually expecting better elsewhere in Europe, but there you go. That, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but also I'm pleased that you had that experience in your life of walking down the street and having a friendly greeting with people. So that's one way in which life in Africa versus Belgium was different. Are there any others, and how much do you remember about your time in Africa?
See, it was my first 3 years of my life that I lived there, so a lot of the times I don't remember that much, but I do know some words in French. I do know how the house looked. I remember the food, especially because the easy part about remembering all this is because I went back a few times, so that afterwards, that kept it fresh to remember as well. Because especially the people being there and the streets themselves being the most dangerous streets that I've ever been to, because they do have traffic lights, they just don't work. And it's just a free-for-all of cars just going on while you're in the back just screaming because you're terrified while holding on to your dear life and like, this is safe, right? But it is so weird because this might also be like a different experience because, of course, I am a white person. I'm Caucasian. Because people smiling to me is like, on the one hand, could be like touristy, like maybe for money and stuff. But I generally felt more appreciated, so to see. Like a lot of things that happen there is towards like smiling and like taking the best part of life and enjoying those things, because even when you are in a rather bad situation, or if you compare yourself to other people, you might think that you're worse off, but on the other hand, you have so many things that you can laugh about, and
Right.
I really love that way of thinking as well.
Yeah, I think that's a very very important point. Yeah, if anything, having traffic lights that don't work is less safe than no traffic lights at all, I would say. It's just mixed signals all around. Well, what a fascinating start to your life. Now, Shimon, I'm sure we'll delve more into this soon, but let's learn about the first Pokemon on your dream team. So, Shimon has come up with these in advance. I have no idea what they are, and the aim is not for Shimon to build the best competitive team. It's just Pokemon that are special to him in some way. So, let's find out together. Shimon, what's your first Pokemon on your dream team?
My first Pokemon that I've chosen is Beware. Beware is actually a Pokemon that I've grown quite fond of, because when it was upon its initial release, people kept comparing me to Beware. Because from the first pictures that we saw just a huge bear that made sound. That's it. That's all we saw. And the artwork breaking trees while hugging. And people were like, yeah, Shmon is big. He has pink hair at the moment. Yeah, he's Beware. And that comparison kept up for years and years. And Beware has become a special Pokemon to me, because when you're looking at Pokemon anime as well, how fun it is. I love the comparison for me and Beware. Like, people have given me many things. Like, I even got a 3D printed Beware, for example, as a gift once, and things like that just make me very happy. And Beware is perfectly cute, but at the same time can also be too scary in its loving, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. We live in such an amazing community, don't we? People coming up to you and giving you the gift of a 3D printed Beware. I mean,
yeah, I can't express how much I love it as well, because like it is so well made. Like, I'll try and yeah, there we go.
That's
Focused
amazing.
on it. But
Incredible.
I'm generally things like that. Because people kept comparing me to it, I started trying to use it as well as Beware. Like, because especially in the early days of like the Belgian community, you had like signature Pokemons that people like to have, and it's easy to compare one Pokemon that's that person's favorite. Oh, that Pokemon is that person's favorite, because every Pokemon is loved by someone. And when people saw me wear, they said like, "Yeah, that's mom."
Hmm.
And I
Yeah.
love that fact, and I fully embraced it.
Yeah, well, as you should. That's a wonderful first Pokemon. So thank you very much for that. We'll get on to your next 5 Pokemon in due course. But next, we're gonna go from the very first years of your life to Sporta Kampen, as you've said.
Yeah. So Sporta Kampen were camps, as translated. You literally translated would say Sport A camps, but I got signed up for these when I was 12 years old. And the special thing about these specific Sporta Campen, they were held more towards the artistic route, as most camps go towards the athletic route, where you have running, paintball, quad driving, all those things. Went more to the more quiet part and the more self explorative way to go at it, which I really needed at that time. I got signed up at a camp for drawing, and because my parents saw me draw one day, and they were like, "Well, let's try that." And that was the single wisest thing they have ever done, because at those camps, I really have learned to try and explore myself and be okay with the things I want to say, because a lot of the times when I was younger, people love, for example, to play football. I don't mind playing football. I like it, but every single day got a bit tiresome. So I was more open to speak my mind about things like I don't wanna. Where and it's not always as easy to do when you're young, and
Mm.
being able to speak about your mind and just get a bit of that self discovery of yourself, because at those camps I've done different things. I've done making movies. I've acted. I've done plenty of those like different things. I've even done fashion once. My clothes were not great, but I did it. I tried. But just going on to that artistic route is just amazing to have, amazing feeling to have. So I went there till I was 12, till I was 18 every summer. And then when I was 18, it was finally time to say goodbye. Nope. I then became one of the monitors who give out those camps. Like I've given out animation, I've done drawing as well. I've teach that, and it's been amazing journey so far. And I've even been it's like head monitor, so like trying to arrange the camps, get all the necessary materials for the camps as well. And up till this year, I've done every year doing that, and I was very much I love every second of it, because being able to let other kids have that same exploration of themselves, of their feelings, of their just being, has helped me many times as well, make me happy, because we've had struggling kids with their feelings, not being able to express themselves, and just even if it's a weak time, just getting a crack through them is can help a lot. And like I'm particularly fond of a lot of these kids still, and like they still message me. I still get like they've grown older, they've gone into careers where they are doing these artistic routes, and it's so great to see time and time again on social media how well they are performing.
That's fantastic. That's incredibly touching. And I'm thrilled that not only you discovered that at the age that you did, or your parents enabled you to, but that you are now giving back and you get just as much satisfaction out of doing that.
It's I'm very happy with it, because I've made lifelong friends there as well. Friends I still talk with today. I've also unfortunately lost a friend at one of these camps. It was quite unfortunate. It was a case of 1 in a million, um, but that only strengthened my resolve, because they love these camps just as much as I did. That is why I've been kept doing these. So it's kind of hard for this year not to be able to do them in my mind. But I am going to Worlds, so I'm trying to still visit them, visit the camps before I go to Worlds at
Mm.
least. But I'm just proud of the effort that has gone into it and the growth it has shown as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm very sorry to hear that about the friend that you lost, but I'm pleased that you're able to check in with the camp before heading off this summer. Um, And again, it just speaks volumes of how important it is for people at all ages to keep exploring things that they're interested in, or
Yeah.
even things that they don't know they're interested in yet.
Yeah,
Just sometimes having a little nudge in a certain direction is what we need.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that, Shimon. And now I'm going to ask you, who is going to be joining Beware on your dream team?
Well, the next Pokemon, it has such a close, it's so close to me at my heart, and it's Seeking.
Seeking.
Yeah.
Seeking. Frankly, I'm just glad that Seeking is getting some love. Tell us about Seeking.
Well, Seeking has been close to me because I've used it at my first EUIC, first off, and that was in that already a great experience. And I did decent at least there. And Seeking, I've kept using it. I kept memeing with it. VG Seeking is real. It was just such an fun Pokemon to have. And afterwards, I found out about some Pokemon cards with Seeking on them, and I really liked how Seeking looked. I was just like, is this one of my favorite Pokemon now? And it is. I just have a binder full with Seekings as well. So Seeking is one of those Pokemon that I want to bring with me on my team. It is not the most prettiest, but it is my lovable round fish.
I think the Seeking is pretty pretty.
Yeah.
I think it's it's got amazing patterns and yeah, it's just again it's a Pokemon a bit like Beware. It's a Pokemon that we don't tend to hear too much about, and I know you're going to talk more about your first EUIC later on in the episode, but I love it when sometimes Pokemon catch us by surprise. The ones that for whatever reason we just feel an affinity towards. I think that's really fascinating.
It just happens. It just happens sometimes, and where you're just like, yeah, that's my favorite now.
Yeah. Well, great choices so far. Okay, so then we're going from Sporta Kampen. I hope my pronunciation was a little bit better than it was the first time. First time I was fully just British, Sporta Kampen.
The thing is, I should have translated it, but at the same time, I was like, I kind of want to hear him say it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hopefully that was a slight improvement there. And we're going from there to now a more Pokemon-based topic. It seems like the PokéPlay Championships.
Yeah. So PokéPlay is our Belgium community that was created in 2013, which then only just started, and they did all kinds of amazing local things where they were just local tournaments, because at the time in Belgium it wasn't that well known to have Pokemon tournaments, like official Pokemon tournaments. TCG was thriving. There were TCG events, but no one was really talking about the video game. So PokéPlay got made, and they tried making different kind of tournaments, and with the release of X and Y, they did different kind of singles tournaments where you had these funny rules, where monotype, for example, or you had to draft your Pokemon team. You had a Scrabble tournament where you drafted letters from a Scrabble board, and you just have to make a team with that. Oh, you got an eye? Good luck. You have an Igglybuff. Things like that were quite amazing, quite fun to play with. And that was the first actual Pokemon video game scene that I had. It was mainly singles. VGC was nowhere to be seen, but playing these was kind of amazing. And in 2017, I feel like the accumulation of all the tournaments were where the level of play was quite high as well at that time. I was able to win a tournament there. With we called it a PokéPlay Championship. It was every year during the summer, and we wanted to make it big, invite a lot of people. We had people from the Netherlands coming. We had people from Luxembourg as well, people from France as well one time. So just to give out big prizes and try to have a stream and everything. And that PokéPlay Championship is quite dear to me because I was able to build a team together with a good friend of mine with the next Pokemon on my list that I will be talking about afterwards. But it was such a good team, and I was so proud of the way that I played and performed. that even in finals was being played. Normally it's best of one. We played finals round one, and then the organizer asked like, "Yeah, that was kind of short. Do we want to make this a best of three?" And I was like, "My God, it's just gonna be the same thing." Like my team absolutely smashed his, unfortunately. But like they wanted to try. They tried again. Same result. They did try and adapt, but uh, I'm just happy with how convincingly I won there, where I was able to put in the effort. Because mainly after 2013, I started mainly organizing these, so I wanted to still show like, yeah, I got the juice. I can play. Respect me, like so that one I was really dedicated towards to, and it helped me set my mind as well. If I set my mind to something, I can perform. So of course,
Yeah,
quite happy with that.
yeah, that is a voyage of self-discovery. I mean, it's great that that scene was springing up where you were at that time. Um, I'm glad that there was the opportunity for people in Belgium to get involved. So the Scrabble tournament sounds fascinating. So
Yeah,
you pick a letter,
it's
and what?
so
There's
good.
one Pokemon assigned to each letter,
Yeah,
and then you
well,
have to
not one.
use that
You
on
had
your
like
team.
multiple choices most of the time, but like the eye didn't really have a lot.
Yeah,
So you
sure,
had
sure, sure.
Illumise. We made for the fun of it. We made an Igglybuff.
Right.
Because we were like, there's not that many eyes. Like, what are you
Mm.
supposed to do? Ivysaur? Like,
Yeah, yeah, true, yeah.
so we just had fun with it. Like, there were a lot of rules. We also had generation tournaments of like only Gen 1 Pokemon, only Gen 2 Pokemon, etc., etc.
Mm.
And those were fun as well, where we had like specific ban lists because we tried to balance it. We tried to really test it out so that people could really enjoy the tournament itself, because we wanted it to be fun. We've had team tournaments where you choose Team Magma or Team Aqua, and make a team based around that. We're like with certain types that you were allowed to use, certain types you weren't allowed to use, and then see who would go on top of the two teams, like rank up the points.
Mm.
Things like that were incredibly fun, and even like things like multi battle, like it just showcases like how extensive like Pokemon VGC can go as well, because we have for TCG we have Expanded, we have GLC, Gym Leader Challenge, we have so many things for we have Draft, but VGC and just video game in general can go so deep as well, and I absolutely am fascinated by how people play and try things again and again, and how it's just working out so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this game just goes on and on and on. There's always more to get out of it, and I'm interested to know: were you into playing the games first, and then sort of picked up your first pack of cards? Which way round did it happen?
I played my game well. I used to like buy packs because at first I didn't have a real console at first, so I bought packs. This was like oh ages ago, but then I found a Game Boy SP randomly in the sand somewhere at the beach. There was no one around. It was midwinter. This is a weird story, I know, but like it was like in the middle of the sand between the dunes. I was just like, "Is that a Game Boy?" And like looking around, seeing no one, and I'm like, "Mom, I found something," and they're like, yeah, trying to look for people to like give it back to, but there was no one there, and I was just like, "Can I keep it?" And that's what my parents call me, Doomsday, because that's when I really started to play Pokemon. Because at first it was only Tetris, then I bought Pokemon Red. Couldn't finish Pokemon Red because I couldn't understand English all that well enough. French, top low, like top dog, but like English, how would I know how to click on a poster as a child? So I just trained my little Charmander till I was, I don't know, 60, I believe, and then they released Fire Red, and I was like, oh yeah, that looks like a different game. Bought Fire Red, played that, finally understood what was happening, and I was like, oh, it's the graphics. The graphics did it for me. And so I played that, and then continued on playing all these Pokemon games, and then only in 2018 started really playing the TCG as well at times.
Okay. You found a Game Boy in the sand.
Yeah, I can't like I
I
still
mean,
have it. I even still have it. Like I sometimes when I really shake with it, I feel like there's still sand coming out of it.
yeah, but it still works.
It still worked, and
Oh
that
my
was the most
goodness.
impressive part.
Yeah.
We bought like the next week. I remember like buying fire reds on like a little market, like what people don't want anymore. I
Hmm.
don't know the name in English,
Sort of
but
like a jumble sale or a
yeah, a jumbo sale
yeah.
exactly. And like I just bought that, and I found someone with a charger because it was empty by then because I was playing Tetris, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's right! Pokemon has a game. I love watching Pokemon. I love the cards. This is how to love." And yeah, Doomsday.
Yeah. That is fate, isn't it? You're just walking along the beach and
Yeah.
there's a Game Boy poking out from the sand. I mean, that's your message in a bottle.
It's
That's
that, or it's the plot to Jumanji.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I knew that image was in my head for a reason, and you're so
Yeah,
right.
no, I was like the
It is
same. Like
Jumanji.
every time I tell a story, I always like thinking of the drums, like playing.
Yeah.
Like it's just Pokemon music, just the Pokemon Center tune.
Yeah, you're so right. um, well, okay. So from Jumanji, now you mentioned briefly that you sort of teased your third Pokemon because it was a team you did really well
Yeah.
with in that championship. So tell us, what is it? Who's joining Beware and
Well,
Seeking?
my third Pokemon is Tyranitar.
Mm.
Mega Tyranitar was a Pokemon that was used at the time, but it wasn't really that much explored. But I just said, you know what? I want to play with Tyranitar. I think it's good in the meta. I think it's the right call, and it was. It was so good at the time. Mega Tyranitar was something that no one was prepared for, and being able to use that to its full potential really made me happy as well.
Okay, so can you give everyone watching or listening a little sort of accessible explanation as to why Mega Tyranitar was so good at that time?
All right, so Mega Tyranitar, as I'll just explain it first. Mega Tyranitar doesn't get much speed, more speed. It gets a bit more bulky, and it gets more attack. The attack is the important part because it is absolutely destroying things left and right. The things that it has as well is a lot of coverage moves. It has Ice Punch, it has Crunch, and Stone Edge cover a lot of good things. But mostly during that time, stall was prevalent, as in a lot of Pokemon were walling you, and you had to go through them. And one of the perfect Pokemon to go through some Pokemon was Tyranitar at the time because it had enough HP, so it could be fully HP invested to even go for a substitute in front of a Chansey, which would then try to seismic toss your substitute to try and break it, but then realizing, wait, I'm playing HP investment. I can't break it. So you now have a Tyranitar behind a substitute versus a team that is full of bulky Pokemon that do not like a Tyranitar behind a substitute, which will try to status you. So then Tyranitar can try and go really ham and have some fun. And that's really the team composition that we made because it was my team also had a bit of stally Pokemon because the meta was just that at the time, and that's why I was really happy with the call that we made with Mega Tyranitar that we thought like this is the Pokemon to use right now.
Very well explained. Um, that's a great story. Yes, that is something I did know of you before the show, that Tyranitar is one of your favorites, and you've got an interesting, so far very diverse types: Beware,
Mm-hmm.
normal fighting, Seeking water, Tyranitar, rock and dark. So interested to see how that pans out over the rest of the episode. But before we get on to your other three Pokemon, so now we're going to go, it seems, from Pokemon to your degree and your studies.
Yeah. So me personally, I'm not the best performer in school. I was not. I've had some things that I excelled at, which are mostly the practical things. Like languages, I'm pretty good at because I can immediately use that. But there were things that, for some reason, I couldn't really apply because I couldn't apply it to real life. Um, so I didn't do all that well in school at all, really. Like people just explaining me things while I could just read them in a book. not really that interesting. So I got to drawing on the side and was just mainly distracted a lot of times. And because of that, I didn't do well at all at school. And in Belgium, you have like different levels of schooling uh, but it's going to from more the theoretical to more practical by every step. And I kept dropping down after a while. And then when I turned 18, I had the option, instead of going at a regular school, to go to a school for adults, where I was able to get my degree instead of like finish my years. Instead of 2 years, I was able to do it in 1.5 years. And I wanted to do, I thought, give me that chance, because it let you be a bit more on your own. So you were working on your own, you were studying on your own. The information was still given to you. It was a bit more like college and high school. No, I want to say high school, but like in Dutch, it's called hogeschool. So let's just say university, where you are more left to your own devices. And before like deciding what degree to go for, they did like a test first to test how where you would fit. And apparently, I was fitting a bit more on the upper scale of things, and they really convinced me to try and do that, because I was just like, just let me get my degree. I really don't care at the time. But now looking back on it, I'm so happy that they convinced me, because I've got more opportunities, and I was able to figure out how to study my way. And that is something huge, because I'm a person that does bunk his head a few times at the same wall time and time again, where I'm like, I don't know what to do against this. And being able to reflect on that, and even when you start, eventually you'll break through. Your head is hard enough, um, and I'm very happy with that, just in general, because that gave me opportunities to meet other people, gave me opportunities to just really expand my worldview and just really learn. I'm better at learning now, because at first I was just winging it really, and now being able to sit down and study in the more practical way, or even like where I can use things that I've learned to apply them into real world, really helps me personally. And yeah, I'm really happy with that. And I really wanted to share this, because a lot of times people are struggling with things where what they're doing, or if what they're doing is not good enough or something. Sometimes another way might be the way. That I just want to give you the want to tell this, that going straight isn't always the solution. That's just it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that is arguably the most important thing, finding what the learning method that works for you
Yeah.
personally. And I think it applies to so many things. You can even apply to Pokemon in terms of doing well with teams. You've got to find the play style and the team that works for you. So many
Yeah.
times trainers talk about their comfort picks, and you can only find your comfort picks by experimenting broadly. Um, and again, I'm thrilled that you're able to have the opportunity to really get into what makes you personally tick.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, was it also the case that you had a particularly great teacher, or a teacher
Yeah.
that you just clicked
The like this teacher was built different. I can't.
with? Yeah.
There's no other way to say it. But this, I had one teacher who was really elevated in the way they were speaking and they were saying, because a lot of times I had issues with how teachers would just read what was on the PowerPoint,
Mm.
and where you're just like, I could have just as well read that and spared me 20 minutes.
Mm.
But while some other teachers actually delve into it and like try to answer questions and like really want think about things, because if when you ask the question to this teacher and they didn't know, they didn't do the thing where like whatever. They were
Mm.
actually like immediately that's a good question,
Mm.
I'll look it up, I'll check it back. And then they come back the next lesson and go on a full explanation of it and try to enlightening us as well as possible. And that is like the extra mile that I really appreciated at the time, because that was just exactly what I sometimes need, where it's just like, all right, I don't expect understand this specific aspect of it. Why is like why does that part correlate? And then explain that one part really open it up, and where I was able to understand.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's the way I explain it isn't easy, because like I don't want to use people's names and stuff.
No, of course, yeah. No, that's I think I guess it's the teachers who get just as much joy out of helping people understand what's going on, and sort of recognizing the differences that each child or pupil or student presents to them.
It's so hard to be a teacher, especially if you have like 20 people in front of you. You can't help them all individually, which is devastating on one hand. But I really appreciate the teachers that put in the effort, or like try to, because those teachers do make changes to the world. That's what I generally believe, because going the extra mile, just in general in life for people, can only get you a mile further.
Yeah, I agree. To any teachers watching or listening to this, we appreciate you very much. So thank you for that, Shimon. And now it's time for you to teach us who your fourth Pokemon is going to be on your dream team. So we got Beware, we got Seeking, and we got Tyranitar so far.
All right, my next Pokemon is one of my favorites, and the choice is Weavile. Weavile is a Pokemon that I always liked. Unfortunately, it has been replaced by Chimpao in some regards.
Sure, yeah.
It is Mega Weavile, unfortunately. But Weavile has always been like a cool design to me, which I really like. And I always love playing with it as well in the single tours. And the first actual experience of competitive for me was being in a Facebook group, and they were just they said like we were doing a gym leaders challenge, like we are looking for people to be gym leaders. I'm like, I mean, I'm willing to try. So I tried that, but then I learned about what competitive is, and then what Pokemon I like, and then I was like, dark types are actually really cool, and Weavile was so strong. I was like, yo, yeah, this I kind of dig this. I kind of like, and I kept using Weavile, and because I use it so often, it became one of my favorite Pokemon. Afterwards, in our local community, it has become a bit of a meme that I don't like shiny Weavile. It is pink, first off, and bright yellow, which I think is not a good color combination. And yeah, Weavile is just one of my favorite Pokemon as well. I've got a full collection with Weavile cards as well, just like Seeking. It's such an amazing Pokemon.
Yeah, Dark and Ice, very. I'm trying to resist saying cool because of the pun, but yeah, it's very cool. It's a very cool Pokemon.
It's right there. Just say
exactly. Yeah. Great. Okay, so that's Pokemon number 4, and now we're going to stay on the Pokemon theme. I believe you mentioned this very briefly earlier. Your very first EUIC.
Yeah. So my first EUIC was kind of special because it was the first EUIC ever. First off, but me and a group of Belgians just randomly decided to go. I don't even remember the conversation or how we did it, like at our local scene. We were just like, we'll try it. Never played VGC before. Never did any locals. The other guys were smarter because like a lot of them wanted to play TCG because they've played that before. Me and 3 others were just like, yeah, we never played VGC. How much more different can it be? It's just 2 Pokemon next to each other. So we just practiced so much before the oncoming tournament. Like we booked a spot. We went by car as well, which was I'll say it, horrible because I remember the guy driving. I love the guy. He's still one of my best friends. I just want to state if he sees this, but I am very fearful of ever driving with them again in the UK because it felt like they wanted to go to the right side the whole time. But it's still fine. But yeah, I went there with seeking. Seeking is the way to go. It was like the thing is, it's so etched in my brain that I even have calcs from it. Still remembering surviving Psychium Z from Tapu Lele in terrain, Grandium Z from Garchomp, surviving that as well. Behind the protect, even at +4, like things like that. Where I still just remember that because I really tried, I really practiced, and I really did my best to do that event. And I remember my last match. It was so close. I don't know who it was against, but I know it was an Italian player, and it was so darn close. Like I don't even remember what my eventual score was, but I just remember that match. And at the end, the guy like sighing, and the first thing he says to me is like, "What are you doing here? Like with this score, you should be up." I don't know. I was so flattered. I was like, "Stop it! Oh my god, no!" Like I'm playing Seeking. But like I did play out of my mind then, because at that tournament I even faced against two people. One of like, and they definitely don't remember me. One of them being Jamie Boyd, who I faced off in round 4-3. The other person I fought was Wolf Glick at the time, and I was a huge fan. I still have a video of one of my friends recording me, telling me the pairings, where I'm like with a Magikarp hat, flipping because I'm like, I have to go against Wolf Glick, and like I was already a fan back then. We didn't exchange more than 20 words, I believe, because very like competitive scene, of course. But I was absolutely, oh, I was flabbergasted. Didn't have words. I took a game. I was very proud of that. I remember that. I was like, whoa! Like yelling in my head, and I just like, GG, sir. While in my head, I'm just absolutely popping off. And just that entire tournament, that entire like 7, I believe it was 7 rounds back then. I don't quite remember, but it was such a fun and good experience that I was like, I really want to do this more. I really want to do VGC more. I really want this competitive, because the Belgian scene at that time, it was the same year as I won the PokéPlay Championship, and I was thinking to myself, I really want to do more. This is it. This is my next step. This is my next goal that I want to do. These events are great. I want to have locals for these. I want to play these. I just want this feeling. I want to keep it, and that's how I got here, where I'm doing, where I'm at least visiting every European regional till now, which might be crazy, but like I just love the energy.
That's a really good way of putting it. You just want to keep that feeling. I think a lot of trainers feel the same. Feel the same way. Yeah, it's not quite like anything else. That feeling, and so what you're saying is your very first VG event.
Yeah,
you barely played VG before,
yeah,
and seems like you did pretty well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I have this knack for bubbling at ICs, apparently. So that was my first event, and I bubbled at 129th. Which is unfortunate because top 128 got CP, which at the time didn't really mean anything to me personally. But I remember the one player that we had, that actually the first Belgian player that got to go to Worlds, came to me as well afterwards, and he was like, I guess you're a better player than me, which Seeking, what? But like, it was like kind of angry, but like we were playing with it, and it was such a good feeling of just having that. Like, unfortunately, bubble, but like I didn't care that much. And funny enough, every IC till now, I have always bubbled. The one time I played TCG, then doesn't count. We don't talk about that. I did abhorrently. But it gives me a thirst to try and perform well at an IC. Like I want a D2 at IC next year. Next year, I believe.
Oh, for sure.
But that is, I generally do love the energy of this Pokemon and everything, and I can't help but like I'm thinking of a story as well. What happened at the IC, which is one of the funniest stories that I've got in my arsenal, which doesn't even involve me, but like the best French player and one of my best mates right now, they went to EUIC by car. They were standing in line for the boat, and my best mate got already on it while my friend went, while the other player, I'm just gonna call their name. So Leonard was in the car, drove onto the boat while Aurélien was getting him coffee. Well, what you should know if you're the first time you're taking the boat, once you're on the boat, you're not allowed to leave it. Once you don't have a car, you're not allowed on the boat either. So the boat left without Aurélien, still holding 2 coffees. That's the first part. So he got on the next boat, luckily, by talking a lot and explaining the situation. He arrived finally in Leonard's car, sat down, and Leonard looks at him. Where's my coffee? As the first thing to say, and I love that story of just a man that is absolutely broken, having to wait an hour at the wrong shore. Just what? It's just, it's one of those stories. Like generally, that EUIC has so many fun stories like that, and where I'm like, it's just dear to me. It's just so dear to me.
Was Leonard joking?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good,
but like,
good.
he's like that. He's like that. But like, absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a good joke.
Yeah. He was probably thinking of that from way before.
Yeah, but like, still,
they
like,
arrived.
That's genius.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure there's so much more that we could go into from that UIC, but it's time for your 5th Pokemon. So, who's going to join Beware and Seeking and Tyranitar and Weaver?
All right, my 5th Pokemon is quite a special Pokemon because this has mainly to do with one thing and one thing alone, and that is a Pokemon movie. Look, I've watched a lot of them, but there's one Pokemon movie where I'm still thinking this is actually a really good movie, and that is the one with Entei.
I thought that was coming.
Yeah. I love Entei. Okay, and look, Entei. That's like so amazing. Like Entei got summoned randomly by some unknown. A girl crying. She tells him, "Oh, are you my dad?" And Entei's like, you know what? Yes, I am. And just the sheer confidence of like Entei, like, yeah, I'm your dad. I'm your father. I'll adopt you. I got you. Like, just that idea manifested in my head, and it's just Father Entei, which I really like because now you have Gouging Fire, which is Grandfather Entei.
I see. So this one less to do with the games, more just to do with that movie.
Just with that movie, I genuinely still love that movie. I think it's well formatted, and I think like it's structurally, story wise, it's really good.
Well, yeah, for sure. I remember watching that when I was, when it came out, and not since, but you're making me want to go back and revisit it for sure.
I do recommend it.
Entei. Okay, but Entei obviously that's still a very strong Pokemon, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you've only got one more Pokemon to go on your team, but for now we're gonna go into everything to do with Pokemon beyond competing, I guess. So you're someone who's really nurtured the local scene, but also someone who's done a little bit of casting.
Yeah. So my intake. So as soon as like EYC was over, I wanted that. I wanted to play more. I wanted to do things more. There were only a few issues. First off, Belgium didn't have any locals. And if you're asking me, any locals? Yes. VGC locals were non-existent. The only VGC locals that existed were the ones that were organized by some Dutch people that came over sometimes, which is still not a good basis to have a local scene. um, so we traveled mainly to France or even to the Netherlands for events, which we had to do a lot because we didn't have that many VG players at that time. We only had like a solid team of 3, really, of trying to get to Worlds. And um, I believe it was like after Orléans got his Worlds invite, the first Belgian VG master to get his Worlds invite. We were super proud of him. Um, we were afterwards. We were like, yeah, for Sword and Shield, when that's coming out, we're organizing. Like we have to. Like me and Leonard both decided like you can participate in my events. You can participate in your events. We'll just do it like that. Then the first event came around for Sword and Shield Bochum. We both were ready. We have our organized. We are both judges. We're ready for locals to return. COVID. And then COVID hit. Unfortunate does not begin to describe it because for it used to be the rule you have to organize 3 VG events without CP to be able to organize events with CP. I just got done doing my 3rd event where they were just like, sorry, my guy. So unfortunately, wasn't able to do any VG events till COVID was over. Luckily, was able then to do VG events right after, and I jumped on it immediately. During COVID, we had like a lot of grassroots tournaments as well, where I was able to collect Belgian players, people that were interested, having watched Wolf Glick, and like immediately pulling them towards us to Team Belgium for Victory Road's World Cup, and then local events. We're ready. Invite players. Let's go. I invested a lot of time in TCG as well, with TCG judges. Just give us some space, we'll fix it ourselves. Come on, like just snake charmer, just fully convincing them. And now we have so many events as of this moment. We've got, I believe we've got 9 organizers being able to do VG events with CP for Belgium. We're petite. Like I'm pretty like. If I have to compare it to like things like Germany has like 7, and Germany is like 16 times our size, which is like amazing to say the least. And like and seeing more and more people being interested, trying to go for the invite. Now we have 3 people currently, hoping to be 5 at least, for World Championship this year, and putting in the effort, like for streams, for TCG local streams, for VGC locals, and making a Discord so that TCG, VGC, Pokemon Go, everyone has a central point to go to in Belgium to find these events and know what to play, communicate with each other. I tried setting all that up because I was thinking to myself, what did I need when I was young? What, like, when to know about TCG and VGC events? Well, I guess a central point where everything was like explained to me, and that's exactly what I wanted to do with the server and with the events, and just me tweeting all the time, hey, events, right? Funny. And that really worked out, and I'm really happy for it because there's not a day that goes by where I don't appreciate the amount of people that we have currently, the amount of people that put in effort for VG events, TCG events, Go events. I generally, the passion, I'm just happy that like I got through to people where, just like the Sporta Kampen, where I was able to teach kids sometimes a bit about themselves, like other people also sharing a passion and pushing through with it as well. And I'm just deeply in love with the Pokemon scene itself, because I've gone to many locals, even outside of Belgium, like the Netherlands, where these people are crazy good. I can't explain it. These people make the weirdest teams, but they're so good. So many good players. go to France, where there's also so many good players. Even Germany drove 8 hours to go to Frankfurt, and I'm absolutely smitten. Just I love everything about Pokemon right now, and these locals are where it's at, where people have to like get introduced, and I just want to be able to support as much as I can. That's why I try streaming a lot of these locals, because that's how people find them randomly on YouTube, where it's sort of like, hey, wait, I watch YouTube. I like Pokemon. That's in Belgium, yeah. So things like that happen. They do happen like that. It's weird, but like that's how people has found my Twitter, or even like um, it's just one of those things where it gets pushed through like mouth to mouth. Like I talk with TCG players. TCG players know a guy that plays like video game, but never really try competitive. They invite him over, and they play VG now, and like things like that do happen. And like what I mentioned earlier about going the extra mile only puts you the mile forward as well, and that's exactly what I feel like with putting in these efforts for these locals. Sorry, that was a long explanation, but like,
no, it's great to hear your passion, which is abundant. I mean, people in Belgium are, I have no doubt, indebted to you for getting the local scene up and running, and the fact that you enjoy it so much. Again, you've just if you think you're enjoying it so much, then the people you've introduced to it, they that also must give you so much satisfaction to see. Yeah, I mean, there was so much to pick up on that. But then, so it ties in well because, of course, by the time people will hear this, Shimon, I will have been casting with you in Belgium, helping out at a local event there, which I'm really excited for. And
I'm looking forward to it as well.
Obviously, at the time that people watch this, we'll know how it went, but we don't know that at this point. And that also links in with the casting, because that's how I first met you. We cast both of our first live events together last year. So you can tell us more about that.
Casting is an absolute dream adventure, really. I've always like wanted to put effort into Pokemon, and like I've done content. I've made even content in Dutch to like explain people what VGC is and how it works and everything, or just Pokemon in general. And I commentating was just the next step, and I really can't like. There's so many things I love about Pokemon, right? I love the playing. I love the judging, being able to be there as support for people. I love playing and just meeting new people and getting these really tight matches. But casting is so different as well, because you're being put as a face trying to explain the game to other people, and that is something magical, because that is how a lot of people do get introduced to the game, and that is exactly what I wanted to go for with locals, and why I wanted to apply as a caster as well. Because I'll be real, when I applied for casting, I was like, I can try, and that's how I promote Belgium local scene. Like that's what was my first initial thought, to like maybe some more Belgians will see it and enjoy VGC, and they did. But God, I was so nervous. I was generally thinking to myself, like, is my English well enough? Like, is it good enough? Is my vocabulary prominent enough? Like, am I able to speak the words that I want to speak? Because it is not my first language, and our people are gonna be fine with that. And I I just loved it. I just can't explain it enough how much I love casting, and like I still love doing it, because I still do locals casting. I still try to help people online if they do like a fun tournament with casting as well, because I think I genuinely believe that I'm loving that. I it's hard for me to say this, because like I want to do everything at the same time, but casting is so much fun, to be able to share your joy vocally with other people where you're like, this is happening, this is like, there's so many hype moments where I can just recall them immediately and just imagine how the crowd is going wild for a certain play, or hear them yell, how they excited they are. And that gives you such a rush, and I cannot state enough how much I love that as well. There's I I think I'm just smitten by Pokemon, really. Like because like VGC, watching VGC streams is peak. It is such good performances by these players and the casters, perfectly helping them elevate the level of excitedness and being able to explain why this game is so hype, and then being able to bring that to even people that don't quite understand it. The rush about that's just great.
Yeah, the community is so lucky to have someone like Yushman. I think, well, the first thing I'd say is that you use words like smitten, so your English is definitely more than good enough. As I said to you before we started talking today, I'm constantly amazed by how good your command of English is. And certainly much better than my Dutch. And
well, we can work on it. We can work.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
When you cast on locals, we'll do it in Dutch.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And the second thing I was going to say is that. What was the second thing I was going to say?
And you loved casting with me because I loved casting with you.
Well, we never got the opportunity to cast together.
I know, but like, I generally,
soon.
our practices helped me so much de-stress because,
good.
Like, we were put somewhere, and I was just like, I don't know, am I gonna do good? Like, I've done locals. This is different.
Yeah.
But like being able to be sitting next to Costa was the absolute goat on helping me because it was just great. Like, that is the ultimate support, and I probably needed Costa at that time way more than you did because you were so well versed already, and it's just impressed. I was like, man, looks like he's done this for years. What do you mean? What do you mean? Why am I here?
Well, I think yeah, Costa is a wonderful man and coach. But no, the other thing I was going to say is that it's great that you've been able to create your own opportunities to continue casting. You know, you run your locals, and so you give yourself the opportunity to cast them. And I think that sort of that entrepreneurial mindset, but fundamentally just a mindset that allows you to do more of what you love is a really important thing to have. So thank you for that, and a very touching lesson for us. And now it's time to round out your dream team of 6, staying on that emotional note. So who's going to be the final Pokemon alongside Beware and Seeking and Tyranitar and Weavile? And who was number 5? Number 5 was Entei.
There we go. That's the quiet whisper, father.
Yeah. That's just going to be echoing in my head.
Just Father Entei. Thank you. My last Pokemon is the most recent Pokemon, actually. Like, I've gotten a lot of love from a lot of these Pokemon. One of my favorite designs as well is Grafaiai, for example. I really like Grafaiai. But the Pokemon that I really want on my team right now is Baxcalibur.
Baxcalibur. That's a great choice. Okay, tell us more about that.
Baxcalibur is just a smooth head. Like the way he glides with Glaive Rush. First off, love that. First off. But Baxcalibur is the Pokemon I use most to get my CP. Is what I think. I should actually calc this for my Worlds Invite. This is the first time I ever wanted to actively try and go for my Worlds Invite. Like last year was like, I want to be top dog in Belgium. I want to have CP, but maybe Worlds Invite but like not go. But this year my goal was Worlds Invite, and I need it as soon as possible because I'm gonna need to help the local scene a lot still. So I grinded a lot of French, Dutch, German locals, and did well in Barcelona. But all those locals mainly were done with Baxcalibur, and Baxcalibur has survived so many crazy things, done so many crazy things, um, and is still one of those Pokemon that is still viable. And after I got my World's Invite, I wanted to buy something from like some merch from Baxcalibur. Couldn't find anything. Luckily, a few months ago, a little puppet came out of Baxcalibur. Not a plushie, but a little like a little plastic figurine. So I bought that immediately. Baxcalibur is, no doubt in my mind, is the one Pokemon I want to put stamped on my World's Invite, and that is the Pokemon that would represent me getting my World's Invite, so to say. And
Yeah.
deservingly to gets to be there, even with all the effort I did, like in between the events. I performed well. I did my best, and Baxcalibur was there with me almost 70% of the way.
It's great to have that link to a Pokemon, isn't it? One that does well for you in those competitions, and then you sort of discover the love for it outside of the competitive scene as well. And yeah, you'll always associate this season with Baxcalibur. And for anyone who's unfamiliar, CP Championship points what you need to accrue in order to attend the World Championships. It's a really good choice. It's also, if it's a newer Pokemon, so for anyone not familiar with Baxcalibur, it's essentially the equivalent of Dragonite in the current generation.
Yeah.
The Pokemon that appears later on in the Pokedex that's quite hard to raise, but very powerful once you do evolve it. Great. So also on your team, you now have 2 Dark types and 2 Ice types.
Yeah.
But there isn't... Those are sort of the top 2. There isn't one. But out of those 2 types, I believe your favorite is Dark.
That is correct. That is still the one type that I really love. Like, there's so many cool Dark types. Dark types are my favorite. There's no going around it. Dark types, I've started as a Dark type gym leader, and right now Dark types are still really good. Incineroar. but like, just in general, Dark types are such well-defined Pokemon, and I've even won, like, we did a invitational of Belgian players, or of our top Belgian players right now during COVID. I organized it, and I just said, all right, we're all drafting a typing. Everyone knew what I was going to draft.
Yeah.
I love Dark type. I can't help it. I drafted that, won my own event. Oops.
Yeah, well, I think, again, it's like you were saying with certain Pokemon, sometimes types just speak to you, and you can't necessarily define it. But, okay, great team. But now, I'm going to ask you, potentially quite a difficult choice. If you could choose only one of these Pokemon to be your partner Pokemon, what would it be? And as a reminder to our lovely listeners, our options are Beware, Seeking, Tyranitar, Weavile, Entei, and Baxcalibur.
I think, because the thing is, I've deeply considered this question, and the first thing I would say is most likely Beware. Practically, though, I want to say Weavile. I want to still get on planes without the Beware just sitting next to me, for example. It's easier to carry, because especially because when you put the question like Ash and Pikachu, I was thinking like, okay, so Pokemon on my shoulder. Well, Beware is off the table. No, but generally it would be Beware or Weavile. I really have a difficulty making a choice. But for practical, if we're looking at practical things, I'm going for Weavile.
It sounds to me like your heart is saying Beware. Is that fair enough?
Beware it is one of my favorites. I can't deny it. It's huge. It's pink. It has mommy energy, like mom energy. Like, it's such a cool, sweet Pokemon as well. It's a nice embodiment as well of what I want to be: protective and strong, but still sweet.
Yeah. I
think you're right. I think Beware would be the choice.
Yeah, I think certainly there's more about Beware's personality that ties in with you than there is about Weavile. So,
Yeah.
but it's interesting that you had that conundrum between the two. And that leads us on quite nicely, actually, to the next question, which is, if you were a Pokemon, what do you think you'd be? Do you think it would be Beware, or do you think there's a different one?
I actually don't. I put down Galarian Slowpoke. Because I feel, personally, from my own energy, I have bursts of energies. Just like Galarian Slowpoke, where just running off suddenly fast, but at other times where I'm really slow. And I put that down because that was my initial thought process behind it. I was like, yeah, I'm zooming.
Wow. Does Galarian Slowpoke run fast, or can it?
Yeah, no, they can't. So in the DLC, you have like in the DLC of Sword and Shield, when you encounter the first Galarian Slowpoke, it's alright, it's not that fast. But then the next ones, they have like sudden bursts, so they have leaving like a dust cloud behind them as well.
Oh, I see. Right.
So like they can suddenly do that. It's like with the ability that Slowking has as well, with the sudden draw or something. Where they sometimes move
quick
in
draw,
priority.
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, makes sense. And that ties in so well on many levels, because it's another pink Pokemon that has a yellow head, which is
Oh my god!
quite often.
Oh, not again! Not the yellow part again.
Yeah.
You're
which,
right.
It's
Maybe
sort of.
I just like shiny Weavile.
Yeah, I think you do. I think it ties in with your hair color, and also I've seen you wearing pink a lot. So yeah, maybe I think that's actually an answer that was subconsciously even greater than you first realized.
We just. I can't wait to tell my therapist about I am shiny Weavile.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a voyage of discovery that you've been on. Speaking of voyage of discovery, it's now time to discover what some of our listeners have asked you, Shimon. You put out a post to ask 4 questions from the community. One thing they'd want to know about you. So let's see. Let's see what we've got. So, Ben Kiriakou, another VG caster and a player who obviously has years and years of experience, wants to know if you could only choose VG, TCG, or Go to play, which one would it be?
VG. My heart bleeds VG. Like it's the one thing. Like TCG is so cool. There's so many cool cards and everything. But man, VG is deep, and you can do so many fun things. Like, I'm not saying the other games aren't, but like Go, unfortunately, being the last one. But VG is where it started for me. Like the competitive mindset, and that's probably where I'll stay most of the time.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. It's understandable. Yeah, it makes sense based on the story that you've told us that VG holds that place in your heart. But again, Pokemon offers us all of this variety, so it's something
Exactly.
we can.
So, I don't have to limit
ourselves to. Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to choose. Yeah, I can do everything.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Next year I'll do Unite. Stop me, Ben.
Yeah. If you're listening, Ben, take heed. Okay, now, what question shall we have next? Now, there's a question here that you've put. I genuinely don't know how to translate this. What would you order at a fritteur? Now, try and explain what this is.
Okay, so, when you put something in batter and you fry it, right? You go for fish and chips.
Yeah.
Your chips, a friture is literally like it's like where you get your French fries, but like in Belgium. And like in Belgium, I'll just say it: French fries does not mean that they're French. The French means that they're fried, and that's it. They're fried fries. That's literally what it says. It doesn't mean they're from France. They're from Belgium. All right. So that's one pet peeve that I had to go around. But the Fritude is a place where you get these, and like we do have the best fries. And the question would be like, what would you order most of the time? And it would be a small portion of fries for myself with some mayo, and then of course a currywurst and a biggie burger. And you don't know what that is just yet, a biggie burger, but that is number one thing that we're trying out. By the way, when you're here, I'm both giving you and Ben a biggie burger because we've even made biggie burger, which is like a special kind of burger, a flavor of chips here. That like, if that doesn't blow your mind just yet, wait till you taste it. It's all right. Like Ducky liked it last time, and I believe Shona liked it as well. So I'm pretty sure you'll like it as well.
I mean, Ben and I just like food, so I'm sure we will.
Absolutely perfect.
So a fritter is just somewhere that fries things.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
generally it. But it just serves that. But like you have so many options of meat. It's like specifically dedicated to that. It would be probably the same place, same as your fish for your fish and chips. But from my experience with fish and chips, there's a lot of part where it's just batter and not really a lot around it, and that irks me because you need the food inside as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
well, if you next time you're in the UK, I will endeavor to show you some proper fish and chips.
Okay, I would love that because up till now it's not been grand.
Okay. No, well, clearly, yeah. Clearly, you just need to go to the right places.
Liverpool.
So
it's okay. You just blame Liverpool. It's mainly been Liverpool. So like,
I see. Okay. Yes. Okay. No, I'm
yes. Okay. It's Liverpool fish and
chips. I don't think I've ever had fish and chips in Liverpool actually, but no, I'm sure there'll be. Yeah. I hope you're prepared for a better fish and chips experience at some point. Okay. Good to know. Okay, very exciting. Now, what shall we go from? Yeah, okay. If you could experience something you've already experienced in your life for the first time again, what would it be?
I had an answer for this. I forgot. There's so many good things. Oh, I actually do know. One of the things that I really like, I've actually got it categorized. I've got games, movies, and everything. But like top thing is anime series, and it's Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I love Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I cannot describe. Like I've got the full manga set. I've got the hardcovers of it as well. I just love it. It's just great. It is definitely, I recommend it to anyone. It is also the first anime I watched with Lisa. Like she hadn't watched any anime before that, and I'm so happy that she liked it because that's a deal breaker, right? Like, do you like Full Metal Alchemist? Yeah. Okay, we cool. We can this can move on. We can continue this. No, generally, Full Metal Alchemist is such a good experience of just a show, in my opinion. I think it's terrifically written, and like the animation of it is great. Like I even love the manga itself is also really good. And the reason why I say Brotherhood is because you have another version that deviates from the original manga, but it's still okay. But like Brotherhood, which is closer to the manga, is so much more superior, in my opinion.
That's a very good answer. And it's not something I've experienced at all, personally. So I look forward to you illuminating me.
If you want us to move on,
like... yeah. You just hang up.
We'll pause here.
Okay, well, I have been warned. Thank you for that. That's really good. That's a really good answer. I look forward to hearing more about that collection at some point. And let's have one more question. Let's have this question from Shona. How many plushies do you have?
I actually, when she sent me the question, I went around and counted.
Did you?
I did. I've got my plushies and I've got my girlfriend's plushies, but I excluded hers. So, do you want to make a guess, an estimated guess how many I have?
Do.
Because I do want to show like more because I've got a full row filled there. And actually, I should send you a picture later of my entire closet. It's a lot.
Okay. I will make a guess. And okay. Obviously, they come in all sizes as well. I'm going Exhibit A. I'm gonna go with 60.
It is higher.
Okay.
Oh my god. Okay, so I used to have this thing where I said like every region I go, I'll buy one plushie.
Sure.
I've been going since 2017.
Yeah.
I've bought more plushies than I have done regionals. I've got in total 92.
Okay.
I generally like I do not want to calculate the bill that has attached
No.
to it. I like just all right. I've counted all the plushies, but like how much did they cost every one of them? Let's not go there. Let's ignore that.
We don't need to know that. We don't need to know that.
No, like you know what? Their worth is my happiness, and my happiness, like, it's worth it.
Oh yeah, you're a happy man, very happy man. 92. To be honest, I think there comes a point where you just decide to embrace it, right? And that is an impressive collection. And you're right. I think this is something I've contemplated doing myself, making a little note on the label or something when I got them and why, sort of thing. Because each of them is a sort of time capsule, and as you say, it's associated with a certain event. Yeah, you're so right. No, the worth does go far beyond what people would expect, I think, with plushies. Yeah. So I salute you.
I'll be waiting you here at the top of Mount Silver with all my plushies.
You're gonna get a little bit when that snow melting all around them. You're gonna want to put like a blanket.
Yeah, just like a castle made of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, see you at the top of Mount Silver. Great. Okay, thank you so much for those questions. If you want to have a question featured on the show, then you can find my socials, Chazingdra or Chazingdra Chats, and I'll be posting on there about the questions I've been asking. It was just Shimon who did the post this time for various reasons, but ordinarily it will be me posting about those questions, and get involved if you want to submit one for a future guest that we have on. So, now Shimon, we've heard a lot about how you've got to where you are. What I want to know now is what's next for you.
Look, I put down when I got this question, I was thinking about it, and I put down more of the same Pokemon wise. We can only go up, but I'll go a bit more in depth in that. My plan is for VG to go higher. Like, I want to perform better. I don't want to necessarily do more events, but I want to perform better, and I want to really try and do everything at an event. Like, I want to try at least everything at once. Like, I want to try being a judge at scoring as well. I want to try being a judge, a stream runner, for example. Haven't done that yet, but things like that. Like, I want to just try and do different things, because experiencing those different parts of an event really makes you appreciate the totality of the event. Because I think I can be then one of the closest people to I fully understand how an event works now. Like, like you as an organizer, you are of course doing a lot of organizing. You have like side of things, but you aren't doing everything. So being as a player, you're able to do these things, experience them, like Tatsugiri fishing, for example. Like things like that, or doing a search for Pokemon and doing selfies, pick a packs on the side, stuff like that. There's so many things to do at regionals where I'm like, I want to try at least everything once, and that's gonna take me a while. So afraid I can't retire just yet.
Yeah. Well, no, you're so right that the game has, and the way the competitive scene works, just has so much to offer. Why not? As you know, as you've been saying earlier on in the episode, explore everything, and who knows what you'll find that will be another passion of yours. So, exactly. Yeah, I think you're on the right path, and you're clearly getting a lot of enjoyment out of what you're doing and thriving doing it. So, I think that's a really wise plan. And the final question I have for you, Shimon, is thinking back to you, very young version of you, in the Congo, and then moving to Belgium, finding a Game Boy SP on the beach. compared to you now, who is a mainstay of the competitive community across VG, TCG, and Go, what advice would you give to that younger version of you?
Find that console faster. That gamer SP is right there. Come on, my guy. No, I the main advice I would give to myself is that you'll get there. Like as I said earlier, with the bumping your head against walls, you might not always smash through a wall. Sometimes you go around it, and every experience that you get, good or bad, you are learning from it and you are becoming better from it, no matter how old you are. Because I'm still learning lessons even now. Uh, don't switch in on a real boom when your other water type, for example. Learn that the hard way, but like things like that is still something. Experiences are what make you, as long as you're willing to learn from them. So just keep doing that.
Mm, very wise advice indeed. Yeah. And I think it's something that we could all stand to remember in the times where we just don't know how we're going to make something work. And yeah, obviously hindsight is a very helpful thing, but just bearing in mind that that you have everything you need. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very pleased to hear that, Shimon. I'm very pleased that you've taken that philosophy on board based on all the experiences that you've had. So thank you so much for your openness with
No
all of that,
problem.
with all of those questions. And the chat doesn't actually end there. If you want to hear 15 or so minutes of bonus questions for Shimon that he hasn't prepared for, then you can hop over to Patreon and give me a subscribe on there. Great way of supporting the content that I am making. And obviously, only if it's something that you are in a financial position to be able to do. It's going to be a lot of fun, and previous bonus questions, really the gold has come out in that bit, so we'll see what Shimon has for us. But either way, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. It is really appreciated. So then, Shimon, thank you so much for joining me on Chazingdra Chats. Again, thank you so much for your openness, and I think that people will be taking a great deal away from that.
No problem. I love talking about myself again. Same joke, reused. Let's go. No, absolutely love this. Being able to talk, just honestly, it felt like I was able to just explain to how I got here, and I'm really happy to have done it with you. Really, because like I think you. I really felt comfortable talking about this thanks to you. So very much appreciated.
Oh, well, no, I'm glad that you felt at ease. And everyone listening appreciates it very much as well. If people want to keep up with you online, Shimon, where can they find you?
You can find me mainly on Twitter. I will never call it X. I'm sorry. You can try, but no. It's at Schmonsta, or you can find me when I'm feeling like it on Twitch as well, with Schmon underscore, or YouTube, which is just Schmon. So Schmon is the way. It is the key to go.
Shimon's content always puts a smile on my face, so you're definitely going to want to be looking out for that. And again, such a figurehead of the Pokemon community. Someone who I think is really defining of the community in many ways. So make sure you do follow Shimon however you can. And if you've enjoyed the podcast, then you can, well, first of all, make sure that you like and comment and subscribe, all of those things, because it really does help out. And Shimon has given us a lot of food for thought there. Love to know what you thought about his experiences and also the 6 Pokemon on his team. I'd love to know which 6 Pokemon you'd be choosing for your team. And any feedback you have on the podcast, fundamentally, I want to make the best show that I possibly can. So do let me know in the comments, or you can email me, chazingdra@gmail.com, or on social media, as I mentioned before, X and Instagram and TikTok, Chazingdra and or Chazingdra Chats, depending on the platform that you are on there. Do be in touch. I'd love to hear from you. So, Shimon, I think it's nearly time for these bonus questions. And if you're not joining us over on the Patreon page for that, then it's going to be goodbye from Shimon.
Goodbye, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this. If not, there's many more episodes you can watch as well. And yeah, then again, I'm happy to have shared.
Thanks so much, Mon. And it's goodbye from me. Worth saying as well, I'd love to branch out beyond the competitive scene. If you have any suggestions for guests, then get in touch with me about those as well. But for now, thank you very much for joining us on Chazingdra Chats. Join us next time where there'll be another 6 Pokemon, 1 life story. Okay, Shimon, here we go. You ready for some surprises?
All right, hit me. Wait. I'll do a spit take.